The 2026 World Cup has already started. 48 teams, 3 countries, 104 matches, and more unanswered questions than any tournament in recent memory. Can Ronaldo stay out of the spotlight for the first time in his career? Will England's controversial squad actually work? Is Yamal the next Messi, or is that already too small a comparison? And can Neymar even kick a ball? These are the 8 biggest storylines of World Cup 2026, and not one of them has an answer yet. For 20 years, wherever Cristiano Ronaldo went, he was the story. The goals, the celebrations, the Instagram posts, the arguments about whether he or Messi was better. Ronaldo has never in his entire career been a supporting character. But this Portugal squad, and this is genuinely remarkable, might be better without him in the team than with him. As analysts noted, the spine of this Portugal squad, Costa Diaz, Fernandes, Vitinha, Neves, Bernardo Silva, would arguably be the strongest starting 11 at this tournament, even if you remove Ronaldo entirely. João Neves is 20 years old and already one of the most complete midfielders in Europe. Bruno Fernandes is the creative engine. Rafael Leao on his day is unstoppable. This team has leaders, has quality, has a system that works. The question is whether Ronaldo at 41 in his final World Cup, with his legacy on the line, can accept a reduced role. Can he come off the bench? Can he celebrate when someone else scores? Can he put Portugal above himself for 6 weeks? He has never had to answer that question before. Not really. And if the answer is yes, Portugal might go further than anyone expects. If the answer is no, it could tear the whole thing apart. Like, if you think Ronaldo will be an asset to the team, Thomas Tuchel has officially named England's squad for the 2026 World Cup, and the reaction has been, to put it politely, mixed. Left out, Cole Palmer, who scored 25 Premier League goals last season, Phil Foden, Manchester City's creative genius, Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the best passers in world football, Harry Maguire, controversial but experienced. Left in, Ivan Toney, who has spent the last 2 years playing in the Saudi Pro League, Jordan Henderson, 34 years old, recalled from international retirement. Jed Spence of Tottenham, a player many England fans had barely heard of. The reaction was immediate. Former England defender Stuart Pearce said he was astounded at Toney's inclusion. The media called it one of the most controversial squad announcements in years. But here's Tuchel's argument, and it is worth hearing. He has said repeatedly and without apology, we are not collecting the most talented players. We are trying to build a team. Teams win trophies, no one else. And there is logic there. Tuchel knows these players from hours of training, from tactical sessions, from how they behave in a dressing room under pressure. He picked the players who fit his system, not the players the fans wanted to see. England still have Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world. They still have Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka. The foundation is extraordinary. But Cole Palmer not going to a World Cup, Phil Foden staying home. If England go out in the quarterfinals, and they have been going out in the quarterfinals for a generation, those names will be the first thing anyone mentions. Genius selection or catastrophic mistake? We find out very soon. 2 years ago, 3 days before his 17th birthday, Lamine Yamal scored one of the great European Championship goals, a curling shot into the far corner. In a semi-final against France, the stadium went silent, then erupted. He was 16 years old. Now he arrives at his first World Cup. He is still only 17. And the comparison that follows him everywhere, the next Messi, is starting to feel like it might actually be underselling him. Because Yamal doesn't just have the talent. He has the temperament, the smile, the complete absence of fear in the biggest moments. When Spain face a difficult game, when the pressure is highest, Yamal asks for the ball. He wants the responsibility. Spain's Nations League win in 2025 was built around him. Their perfect World Cup qualification, 10 wins from 10, was built around him. Their entire attacking identity runs through his feet. And that raises the most important question for Spain at this tournament. Not whether Yamal is good enough, he clearly is, but whether Spain are too dependent on one 17-year-old. What happens if he gets injured? What happens if a physical team targets him in a knockout game? What happens if he has one bad night? Messi had bad nights at World Cups in 2006 and 2010. Great players have difficult tournaments. But watching Yamal, genuinely watching him, you get the feeling that he hasn't been told that yet. And until someone tells him, he might just keep doing the impossible. Here's a sentence that would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. There is a genuine debate about whether Neymar should be at this World Cup at all. Brazil's all-time leading scorer, 79 international goals, the most naturally gifted Brazilian of his generation, and right now he is injured. Again, and the debate about whether he deserves his place is louder than it has ever been. Ancelotti called him up despite knowing he had a calf injury. When asked whether he would have included Neymar if he'd known the full extent of the injury, a grade 2 muscle strain, the Italian coach responded with a joke. "If my granddad had wheels, he'd be a car," he said. Since I decided on the squad Neymar was in the 26 former Brazil international Wagner Veloso was less philosophical. He said Neymar's call-up was an absurdity that football allows and accused the forward of choosing which matches he plays based on the opposition, not against Palmeiras or Flamengo against the weaker teams. But here's why Ancelotti called him anyway, because when Neymar is fit, even at 70%, he is capable of moments that no other Brazilian player can produce. The creativity, the skill, the ability to manufacture something from nothing in a tournament where nothing matters more than moments. Brazil's group games are against Morocco, then Haiti, then Iraq. If Neymar recovers in time, Ancelotti believes he will be available. He could arrive in the knockout rounds fully fit and fully motivated. The question is whether a player who has barely played competitive football since October 2023 can walk into a World Cup knockout game and perform at the highest level. The romantic answer is yes. Neymar has always been capable of the impossible. The realistic answer is nobody knows. And that uncertainty is the most Brazilian thing about this entire World Cup. The 2026 World Cup is the biggest sporting event in human history. Not just the biggest football tournament, the biggest sporting event, full stop. 48 teams instead of 32. 104 matches instead of 64. 16 host cities spread across 3 different countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, thousands of miles between venues. The final will be played at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, just outside New York City, capacity 82,000, the largest stadium ever used for a World Cup final. But the logistics are, to put it politely, complicated. A fan following England through the group stage in the United States, then a knockout game potentially in Canada, then a semifinal back in the US could be looking at flights, hotels, and visa requirements across 3 separate countries. The cost of attending multiple matches is extraordinary. Ticket prices for the final alone have reached thousands of dollars on the secondary market. But here's the counter argument. The United States has 35 million people of Latino heritage who will treat every Mexico and South American game like a home fixture. There are enormous Brazilian, Portuguese, English, and Italian communities in American cities. The fan base is there, the passion is there, and New York hosting the final, the most famous city in the world, the capital of global attention, gives this tournament a scale that no previous World Cup has come close to matching. The 2026 World Cup will not be perfect, nothing this big ever is, but it will be unforgettable. In 2022, Morocco became the first African nation to reach a World Cup semifinal. They knocked out Spain, they knocked out Portugal, they won on penalties against one of the best teams in Europe, and almost did it again in the semifinal against France. 4 years later, they are back, and they are not coming as a surprise anymore. They are coming as a threat. Morocco's defensive organization under Walid Regragui is among the best in world football. Their ability to absorb pressure and hit on the counter is exceptional, and they play their opening match of this tournament against Brazil in front of 80,000 people at MetLife Stadium. That is not a group game, that is a statement. But Morocco are not the only team that could disrupt this tournament. Japan eliminated Germany and Spain in 2022 and have quietly built one of the most organized and technically accomplished squads in Asian football. And then there's the United States, but we will get to them separately. The 2026 World Cup, with 48 teams and expanded group stages, gives more opportunities for upsets than any previous tournament. More matches means more fatigue. More fatigue means more upsets. More upsets means the quarterfinals could look completely different from what anyone is predicting today. Someone is going to shock the world at this tournament. They always do. The question is, who? In 1994, the United States hosted the World Cup and reached the round of 16. It was considered a success, a football-skeptical nation discovering the game in their own backyard. 32 years later, they are hosting again, and this time the team is different. Christian Pulisic is one of the most dynamic attacking midfielders in Serie A. Weston McKennie has been one of Juventus' most important players. Folarin Balogun, born in New York, raised in London, now fully committed to the Stars and Stripes, is one of the most exciting young strikers in European football. Ricardo Pepi has proven he can score at international level. This American team can play, and they are playing at home. Home advantage at a World Cup is worth more than any statistic can capture. The crowd, the noise, the refereeing decisions that go your way, the opponents who are jet-lagged and disoriented in unfamiliar cities. The USA will have none of those problems, and their opponents will have all of them. History suggests hosts do well. France, 1998, champions. Germany, 2006, third place. South Africa, 2010, last 16. Brazil, 2014, fourth place. Every host nation in the modern era has exceeded expectations. The USA are in a group with England alongside two manageable opponents. A second-place finish puts them into a last 16 game they could win. And from there, anything is possible. This American squad is not good enough to win the tournament. But they are good enough to make the quarterfinals and in front of 80,000 people in a New York stadium that would feel like winning the world. It has not happened since 1962. Brazil, back-to-back champions, winners in Chile, winners in Sweden before that, the greatest dynasty in the history of the sport. No team has done it since. Not Germany, not Italy, not France, not Argentina themselves in 1978 and 1982. They won the first but lost the second. Now the defending champions arrive in North America, and they are being asked to do something that 64 years of football history says is almost impossible. But Argentina's argument is simple. In 2022, they were the best team in the tournament, and they proved it in the most dramatic way imaginable. The final against France is already considered one of the greatest matches ever played, 3-2 after extra time, won on penalties. Messi finally with the trophy he deserved. The core of that squad remains. Lautaro Martinez, now one of the best strikers in Europe. Julian Alvarez, 24 and extraordinary at Atletico Madrid. Enzo Fernandez, Alexis McAllister, and Rodrigo de Paul in midfield. But Messi is 38. Di Maria has retired. The squad is older and less certain than it was in Qatar. Scaloni, their coach, has spoken about using Messi's minutes carefully, protecting him for the knockout rounds, where his ability to change a game in a single moment remains unmatched. And that is Argentina's plan not to dominate every match, not to play beautiful football for 90 minutes, but to survive, to win, and to have Messi available and ready when the moments that decide tournaments arrive. If you have learned anything from watching Argentina over the last 4 years, it is that you should never, ever count them out. Back-to-back champions. No team has done it since 1962, but then no team has ever had Messi. 8 storylines, 8 questions without answers. Which of these storylines are you most excited about? Drop it in the comments and subscribe for more World Cup coverage as the tournament begins.